doing?
No, there's a chair in here. You can sit. Just hide a little bit more. Just show your neck, okay? And your head.
Ladies, y'all have a seat for me? Y'all can have a seat?
Since I'm the person who's gonna talk, it's gonna be very nice topic.
Guys, please ask questions. You know, if you have any. If you don't ask questions, I will. So, yeah, don't do your group members like that. So, alright guys, this is our chapter. I don't know who this is. I'm in the seat, but I'm gonna sit in your seat. You got it. Alright, so this is our chapter 13 group review, our first group review. I don't know why I just thought about this like 20 minutes before class, and I was like, this will be fun. This will be fun. So, one. After one, not every you made 2 years.
Good job.
But guys, please give your undivided attention for our first group right here. They're going to give us the intro, chapter 13, and they're going to talk to us about temporal resolution and frame rates. All right? Let's do it. Let's do it.
As you guys know, my name is Ubali, Miss Asir, and Louis. So I'm gonna talk about the intro about the real-time image, how it was created. So in old days, we used to have what the ultrasound used to be single two-dimensional image, right? So, and it used to take time. It used to consume a lot of time. And it was so impossible to create a moving image. We're talking about what, 30, 40 years ago? But nowadays we can have frame is created in very quick, and also we have a motional image. So Dewey is gonna talk about, no, Asir is gonna talk about the frame rate.
Okay, my name is Asil. I will talk to you about the frame rate. A frame rate, we can say about it is the number of pictures per second. That means how many pictures we can create in just 1 second. The frame rate depends on the speed of sound in the medium. The speed of the sound is constant. All of you know it's constant, 1.54 kilometer over second. Okay, but the depth is changeable. So when we change the depth, the frame rate, that means the number of pictures will change. For example, because this is number of pictures over time. So when it takes more time, that means we create less pictures in this time. So the depth also takes time. When the sound go deeper, it takes more time to reflect and come back to the transducer. That makes longer time to create the picture. And at the end, we will have less pictures in this time. For example, we have 10 seconds, and instead of we have 10 pictures, we will have 5 pictures when the depth is longer. So that's how it related to each other. Units for the frame rate is hertz or per second. That means how many pictures per second. And the frame rate will help us to find the temporal resolution. And the frame rates in this chapter will help us to find almost all the relationship in this chapter for frame rate and I don't remember. Yeah. T-frame, yeah, T-frame. I said frame rate. Yeah. And T for the frame is direct with the frame rate.
So
They are reciprocal, and this.
You stepping over it.
Huh?
You just find the intro,
That's-
step four
that's
resolution and framework.
unproportional.
Okay. Yeah, that's all. Thank you. Do you have any?
Question?
You finished?
Is anybody have any question?
Yes.
Do
No,
we
do it
finish?
first, yeah, do it first.
Huh, okay.
Yes, can you explain the?
Okay.
It's not over yet. It's not over yet.
All right, guys. So today I'm gonna present about temporal regulation. So we already studied about lateral regulation. We also study about axial regulation. Can you guys tell me which one is related to lag and which one is related to ladder?
Axial is large and
Okay.
lateral is louder.
Okay. And can you tell me what large is standing for? Come on, give it up.
Range, radial, and.
Can you tell me?
Bingo. Yeah. Hey, I'm asking question first. Okay.
So what I get?
You got it. You got it. You got it. Right. What about ladder? Can you
The
guys tell me
pleasure
about
knowing you
ladder?
got the correct answer.
Yeah, just a little review before we go deep.
Lateral, angular, transverse.
Bingo. Good job. Good job. So we also study about light technique regulation. It's also called elevation regulation. It's say about the beam above and beneath of the imaging plane. Line regulation. We're talking about the beam width that is go through the structure that parallel to each other. And axial regulation, we're talking about the beam width that is perpendicular or angular with each other. So that's about the review. And for the temporation, we're talking about the block here. It's a time. That's it. Accuracy in time. So it's also say an ability of precisely position moving structure from instant to instant. So for like Mr. Uba say about the static scanning and real-time imaging, we have full wrap and moving. So temporation regulation really good for you demonstrate moving structure like the fetal heart. So right here I have two options right here. Can you guys guess which one is connect to which one? So I got excellent and standard. Anybody can guess? Can you matching? Can you matching?
Few frames is gonna be.
So what temporation is excellent? It's gonna be few rems or many rems.
It depends.
No, it not depend. Actually, it's like this. Just simple. So temporation excellent when it do many rems, and it's standard when it only demonstrates few rems. For determine for the temporation is gonna be about the rem rate, the body. Rem rate. I see already talking about a rem rate, the body. You know what it means?
They're related.
They
Or they
directly
depend on
related.
each other.
So right here, if I have rem rate, high rem rate, can you get how temporation is gonna be?
Yeah.
It's improve or it's decrease?
Improves.
Correct. So if I have temporation loose, can you get how about rem rate? It's slow. I mean, it's high or it's low. Low.
No.
Correct. That's it.
Does all
Yeah,
that
directly
change if you
related.
make it a
Yeah,
video?
that's really direct related between rem rate and temporation. And the unit, because it's determined by the rem rate, so the unit is going to be the same as rem rate. It's going to be hertz or per second. So basically that's it. That's my log with my transducer and my chair.
Okay. Good job, guys.
I'm done.
Questions? Questions? You got questions?
So the many frames, does that change? You said it's excellent, but does that change if you're making a video, a scene, or something like 40?
40. I
That
don't know,
changes,
but
right?
so what you mean like 40? Like,
The many frames is excellent, yes, for an image, but does that change if you're making a video? Or I mean, if you're watching
you mean
it
about
on-
the speed?
Yes. Will the frame rate still be excellent if you're making a video versus if you're taking a static image?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we have shorter time, then we can take a lot of longer video with a shorter time. That's also excellent, right? Is that what you're asking?
Let me
Well-
tell you. If
I'll
we-
explain, I guess.
Let's go, Mr. Sid. Let's see it.
If we increase, decrease the time for one frame rate, so in this case, in this time, the same exact time, we will have, thank you, we will have more frame rates, more pictures in the same time. So in this case, we will have like a movie, because the movie is,
It's a lot of frames making a movie.
Yeah. so.
Let me stop you guys real quick because I think we're getting off track. So she asked if we use 4D, will we still have great temporal resolution?
4D.
Okay, so that question would be, we wouldn't have as great temporal resolution because the more applications you're adding
Yeah.
to one image,
Yeah.
the slower the frame rates are gonna be. Because
Mhm.
remember, 4D is real-time imaging with sound, correct?
Yeah.
So we're sending out even more scan lines to create this one 4D image. So that's just like if we add color Doppler on top of a 2D
Yeah.
image. If we add pulse wave on top of that 2D image, it's gonna take 3 times as long now, because now we're sending out one scan line per application we added to the 2D image.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay?
So
So with the movie, is we're gonna be, we wanna have as least scan lines as possible. Okay, so that can change as far as it being, what he was saying is absolutely true. Like if we have many frames, that's excellent for temporal resolution. That's all he's saying right there.
Oh,
But
that was my question.
that's all he's saying right there. He was asking you to match with temporal resolution. So if you create many frames, your temporal resolution is excellent. If you don't have many frames, then you have substandard temporal resolution.
But frame rate and temporal resolution are also
Frame rate and temporal resolution? No, they're not. They're buddies. When frame rates are high, temporal resolution is
Yeah,
high.
they buddy. That's what I
When
said.
frame rates are high, temporal resolution is high. Yeah, that,
T-frame.
we haven't got the T-frame yet. We
We're not
haven't
talking
got
about
the
T-frame yet.
But I do have a couple of questions. So Uber, you said that static imaging is to what, as real-time imaging is to what?
You
Static
forgot to mute
imaging
your
is-
slideshow.
The static imaging is for photograph.
Okay, and real-time
And the
imaging?
real time is the movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I got you. And Ms. Cecile, you said that sound was constant.
No,
and you,
speed.
okay, the speed is constant,
Yeah,
okay? It's constant through what?
for the soft tissue, just for the soft tissue.
Okay. You didn't specify that when you said it,
yeah.
and I want you to be specific, because sound is
She
constant
said the number.
through a particular medium. Through a particular medium, because it's gonna be 1540 every single
Medium.
every medium is
Yeah.
gonna change, because it's gonna
Yeah.
be slower and fast, it's gonna be faster, in
Yeah.
fluence. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just making sure we're good
Just
right
the
there.
soft tissue, right?
And Dewey, I think you misspoke when you were talking about axial and lateral resolution. Axial resolution is dealing with structures that are parallel to the sound beam. I think, did he say the opposite? Did y'all hear that? Were we listening?
Yeah, parallel and parallel.
And lateral,
And lateral is perpendicular.
perpendicular. Okay, okay.
Perpendicular.
Good job, guys. Good job. Group two. Good job. Good job. I like how you were you gave us like some action. You like really teaching up there. I like that.
Oops.
Different up there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Little different.
Are you okay?
All right, guys. Without any further ado, I have Jasmine and Wynn. They're gonna introduce to sonographer control settings and talk about imaging depth, right? Sweet deal. Give your attention to Wynn and Jasmine.
Okay. All right, first, so we need to go ahead and just establish some definitions. So frame rate is the time it takes for one frame. Also, we'll go ahead and just review, as the previous group said, frame rate is the ability to create numerous frames per second. Okay, so if we look at our table here, As T-frame increases, meaning like the time it takes to make an image, the frame rate is going to decrease, which makes them inversely related. Okay, you wanna give an example about that? Which one? It means the same thing. And also, this is the reciprocal.
Look at
So
y'all.
I have the relationship up here. So when T frame goes down, frame rate will go up. We just like stop at that part for now. And I have the equation up here. So T frame multiplied by frame rate equal to 1. And the example right here. So if we have a frame rate of 45 hertz, and then the T frame will be 1 over 45. 45, you can also have it as 45 over 1. So 1 over 45 multiplied by 45 over 1 is equal to 1.
Does that make sense? So maybe we should stop there first to see if anybody has any questions
And
about
they
that
have
part.
a
Which is the same as 0.02. I don't know how he's gonna have it in the exam as far as, is he gonna have an expression, or is he gonna give it to us in seconds?
Who knows? But I want per second.
Time it takes to for one frame.
1.5 seconds.
Second.
And I did want to just clear up, just because something is inverse related, they don't have to necessarily be reciprocals. So they don't necessarily mean the same thing. Reciprocal is that extra special relationship that they kind of, when one is, they're equal 1. But something can increase and decrease at a different rate, but they still have that inverse relationship.
Okay, so also we'll discuss the sonographer control setting, specifically the image depth. So we know that the image depth, the definition is how it affects the temporal resolution. And so as we have on there, as temporal resolution increases, then the imaging depth will decrease, which makes them also inversely related. So the deeper you go, okay, so the deeper that you go into the body, the more time it takes in order to create that image, which means that the resolution will actually be not as good compared to if it was more superficial. Does that make sense? Or do you need another example? Does that make sense? Okay.
So the least amount, the T frame, the lower the T frame, the shallow the image, and the better the temporal resolution, less amount of time back to the transfer.
Correct.
Let's reflect the time.
The better the temporal resolution, the more shallow the depth is. Correct. Right. Yeah. Okay. Right.
And then the 2 settings that sonographers can control, of course, the image depth and also the number of pulses per frame.
And that would also mean the same thing. So the more pulses that, okay, so if we have like I'm sorry, this is probably going to somebody else's part, but the more focuses that you have, the more pulses that you're needing, which would also decrease the temporal, that would decrease the, temporal resolution. So single focus is actually better. Less pulses is better than having more pulses, because it takes more to create the image when you have more pulses. That makes sense?
That's what the book said. But it's
So yes, that makes sense? Okay.
So less pulses is better as far as what?
Less pulses is better in regard to image quality. Creating the image. Okay, temporal resolution, right. I think we touched it. Do you have anything to add? Any questions? Any more questions?
How is imaging depth and pulses per frame related to temporal resolution?
Image depth, they're inversely related.
Both of them? Both of the sonographer control settings, are they directly related or inverse related, or one is inverse and one is direct?
Image depth is inversely related to the number of pulses per frame.
What?
right?
No.
What's your question?
How
No.
is temporal resolution related to the stenographer control settings?
Oh, okay, so frame rate and temporal resolution are directly related, and image depth is inversely related to that.
How is pulses per frame related to frame rate?
Wanna be inversely related? Frame rate,
How is frame rate related to the number of pulses per frame?
It's inversely related because of the,
I'm just making sure you
Okay.
understand.
I
I'm just
do.
making sure, I don't want you to be second guessing yourself, cause I'm not trying to ask you no trick question, I'm asking based on the information you gave us.
Okay, yeah, that's it, inversely related.
Any questions, guys? We good then? Okay, good job, ladies. Good job. I wish I would've given us some math.
Yeah.
Nah, so you know,
I got this. I got this. Alright guys, group 5, Pat, Adderley, Sameen at the podium, Lauren, Sophie. Guys, they're gonna talk to us all about the what are y'all talking about?
The number of pulses per image.
The number of pulses per image and how it affects temporal resolution and frame rates. Okay? So give a hand to our people. Our biggest group, our biggest group. Y'all ask questions. Y'all ask. All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna discuss number of pulses per image today. So how the number of pulses affect temporal resolution. So in order to get higher frame rate, we need the image with the fewer number of pulses. And in order to get the lower frame rate, we need the image with the higher number of pulses. So pulses per frame and frame rate, they are actually inversely proportional. Okay, so 3 factors determine the number of pulses to create image, number of pulses per scan line, which is multi-focus and versus a single focus, and also sector size, and number 3 is lines per angle of sector, which is line density. So which the other people discuss.
I'm just more
Okay, you come stand over here with me.
Confidence.
No. All right, we're gonna talk about multi-focus. Basically, as recall, we're gonna talk about multi-focus and single focus. Why? Because the first one talks about the pulses per image and the number of pulses per scan line, which includes multi-focus versus single focus. So with the single focus, with single focus images, only one pulse is transmitted down the scan line. And the sonographer is able, with the single focus, which I have it at the bottom, I should have put it at the top, allows for a higher frame rate and better temporal resolution, and it causes the least amount of time required to reflect back to the transducer, which is good. We want the least amount of time, or that short T frame. We want that, and which offers better temporal resolution, but however, it causes poor lateral resolution. And the multifocus allows for the sonographer to include more pulses down the scan line. And with the number of pulses, you will be increasing the number of pulses down the scan line, and that will result in decreased frame rate and diminished temporal resolution, and it requires more time needed to create the image. And again, that's with that more time needed to create the image, which causes longer T frame rate. And however, the advantage of that, it allows us to improve lateral resolution and improve image accuracy in the individual image. And as we have here at the bottom, with the single focus, allows one pulse down the scan lines, shorter T frame rate, higher frame rate, better temporal resolution, and poor lateral resolution. And again, with multifocus, it causes many pulses down the scan line, longer T frame, and a lower frame rate, and decreased temporal resolution and improved lateral resolution. So that's what I have with that. So again, although multifocus has a negative effect on temporal resolution, again, it improved image accuracy and improved lateral resolution.
Asim has a question.
Save it to them, save it to them. Next.
So we will be talking now about the second factors for the number of the pulse per frame. So the second factor is sector size. It's the same meaning the field of the view. The field of the view and frame rate are inversely related. So for example, if you have the field of view or narrowing sector or narrowing field of view will be high frame rate. If you have wide sector or wide field of the view will be lower frame rate. So according to what she said, Jasmine, before, if you have narrowing sector, you mean decrease the pulse of the per frame, it's the short time frame, it's increase the frame rate and superior temporal resolutions. If the wide sector or the wide field of the view will be opposite to the narrow, it's decrease the pulse per frame, long time frame, and decrease the frame rate and give inferior temporal resolutions.
Well, it's not supposed to be just me. High, line density, high.
The third factor is line density. Alright, so the third factor is line density. With line density, you have your
High line density and low line density. And then depending on if you want a good image, you would want to have, okay, high line density lowers rate or decreases temporal resolution. Meaning the gaps between the lines are smaller, improving accuracy of image, more pulses, more frame, longer T-frame, lower frame rate. All this will give you a better image versus a 4D or view.
And for low density, you'll have the wider spaces, fewer pulse frame, pretty much the opposite of high frame rate, and then shorter T-frame, higher frame rate, higher temporal resolution, and then poor spatial resolution. So whenever you want to take good images, it's good to have a higher line density on your system. But whenever you want to do M mode or cine loop, maybe, right? Or anything live, you want to use your wider spaces with the low density.
So shallow structures. With high.
We finished? We done?
We're done.
So I have a question.
Questions?
Are you saying low line density is best if you wanting to have best or better temporal resolution? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
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 You guys can help your group members. Don't leave it out to them. One band, one sound.
Okay, so,
Questions?
alright, I have a question.
No, I see there was a wrong in there. About
Something was
the-
wrong? Where?
Yeah,
Where?
about the sector.
Yeah, sector size.
Because here, I don't know,
Just ask, just ask, just ask.
this is supposed to be up. You're supposed to have more pulses.
Oh, yeah. Obviously.
So,
That is true, good pointing that out. Good pointing that out. That's why y'all supposed to check each other's work. No more questions? I have
So
questions.
I have
Okay.
I have questions.
Complete.
You almost done?
Yes. Sorry, so I only
Okay.
studied the little section that I had.
What we do on the machine to change the number of pulses? This part,
So I said it
Say that
again?
again?
this part.
Yeah, so listen.
What we should do on the machine to change the number of pulses?
You can, increase the depth, adjust the depth,
Oh,
and that's it.
yeah.
What else?
Increase from a frame rate to.
Increase the pulse rates.
Increase the sector.
No, the sector, I think.
That's
now
one,
says-
that's one.
Increase the
That's one.
sector.
She
So
said
less
image
focal,
and depth, that's
The
another.
depth, the line density.
Okay, what else?
less focal point focus.
You did it, man.
Was that it?
You did it. You talked
You're
about it.
multi-focus.
Okay. Oh, multi-focus,
Multi-focus.
single focus, what was it, line
See.
density?
Mm-hmm. She asked, what can you do to change the pulse, the number of pulses?
And the
Image and depth,
There's
sector size,
three ways.
multi-focus, and line density.
Okay.
Line density. I have a question. As far as, Pat, what is the advantage of using the multi-focus?
The advantage of this is improves better level resolution.
Okay. Sophia, I really wish you would drew something for us. Tell me about field of view. Can you, just looking at me though, when I have, let's say for instance, if I'm doing the aorta and I narrow my field of view, what is that gonna do as far as detail? What detail will be improved? Will my image be better because of it?
I asked you this question, you said quality the same.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
no.
the answer. That's the answer. That's the answer,
Same.
right? Because I'm only acquiring the image faster now. I'm not changing the quality of the image. It's about the time. That's a good answer. I'm glad you're paying
So
attention.
that has nothing to do with spatial resolution?
No, that's my
So it
next
doesn't
question.
change.
Lauren and Adelie, tell me a little bit more about, because you guys were kind of chopping it up a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit more about line density and like what am I actually doing? Why would I need to change my line density?
Line density, less line density, you have a bigger gap between each. Am I going on the right track?
Finish your statement. You always talk to me in a couple of words. Say what I'm saying.
Okay, if I understand it correctly, the more space you have between each line density could cut off or create or whatever extra. No, like for the image itself, it'll create something that's not there possibly versus if you have a lot more line, lesser space, you're getting the actual image. You're getting the actual
In the truest form of this.
true, you're getting a true, yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to like imaging the heart, would I want a high or low line density?
You want
What is
You-
MO?
you don't want
Low
low,
line
you want
density.
low line
Yeah.
density
Okay.
because yes,
Yeah.
temporal resolution goes up.
What if I need to see something, the minutia, say if I'm looking at a papillary carcinoma of the thyroid, would I want a high line density or a low line density?
High.
But why would I want that, Adelie? Why would I want high line density on this papillary thyroid cancer?
To make your image more accurate.
As far as what?
Excellent spatial,
As far
excellent spatial resolution.
excellent spatial resolution. Spatial resolution, also known as?
Detail.
Detail resolution. Okay. Anybody got any more questions? I'm good. Do you have a question for us or yourself? Come on.
Yes.
What is it?
I was still trying to understand T-frame and line density.
T-frame and line density? Okay. So
Or maybe I still don't understand.
So if I have a high line density, meaning that I have a lot of pulses per image, then the time it's gonna take to create this frame is gonna be a lot longer. I'm gonna have a higher T-frame because I've taken more time to create this image now.
Because of the extra details you're adding to it?
Exactly. Because I want better detail resolution. In order to do that, I have to increase my line density, and that's gonna take a longer time to create this one image. And my frame rates are gonna be decreased now, because now I'm not creating as many frames per second. Did that answer you?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanna make sure I understood it.
So basically, whenever they decrease the sector width, whenever they're doing M mode, that does nothing, right?
M mode?
Yeah,
M mode is different. M mode is different. You
but I'm saying whenever they're decreasing the sector, when they make it more narrow, there's no point to it really, right? Just
not as far as detail.
Okay.
They're improving the temporal resolution, which is good for M mode. Like that's what they're changing. They're not changing the who cares about the details when you're doing when you're trying to get a fetal heart rate. I'm just trying to get the number of how many heartbeats per second. Right? I don't care about the time, or I don't care about the detail. I care about the time more. So yeah, when they're decreasing it, they're actually improving the quality of the speed that the image is being acquired, which makes it more accurate in time. Okay. So it's for a reason. It's for a reason. Okay. Good job, guys.
In conclusion.
I really wish that there would have been more images and more explanation, and not reading from, cause we all can read the book, right? I really wish there would have been more explanation as far as like, oh, just tell me what it is in your words. What is temporal resolution? What is frame rate in your words? So, I really thought the little exercise was fun. Hopefully, if we get an opportunity to do it again, we'll change the groups up. But we got a test on Friday, guys. Any questions? If you want me to go through the chapter real quick, I can do that. But if not, any questions? Any questions about, this is a test right here, guys, because we've been on it probably a day longer than we should have been, but that's the way I planned the class out. I'm really expecting awesome grades. I really am. I'm expecting everybody to do very well. Maybe you can't explain it well, but I know when you read it, you can understand that concept a lot better. You can understand that concept a lot better. Okay. So just, again, know our relationships. Know our relationship, know frame rate. Frame rate. It is, how many images you can create, per second, right? The number of images you create per second, that's the frame rate. And frame rate and temporal resolution being accuracy in time, or the ability to precisely image moving objects from instance to instance. Okay, so those two things have a direct relationship, right? So if I have a high frame rate, then my temporal resolution is also going to be high. Okay, when it comes to what we do as imaging technologists, I wouldn't say that temporal resolution is so important, because we take more static images than we take motion images, correct? It's only a couple of instances where we're taking motion images. So in our case, we would want to use, when we're trying to image deliver, we want to use multifocus. We want to have a high line density, because we want that detail. We want the as much details as we can, because if there's a mass in there that's homogeneous to the liver, we want to be able to see that subtle difference in gray. And if we're able to have more scan lines to visualize that, if we're able to make our beam thinner over longer distance, then that's better for us as far as imaging. Okay, so and T-frame comes in the time it takes to create one frame. Okay, that's gonna if it takes me a long time to create one frame, then then my frame rates are going to decrease. I'm not able to create as many frames now, because now it's taking me a much longer time to create one image. Okay, so of course the time it takes me, the number of frames per image or per second is going to go down now. Okay, so frame rate, temporal resolution, they're best friends. They're going together. Okay, T-frame, inversely related. Okay, our sonographer control settings, all four of them, right? All four of them, they're inversely related to to temporal resolution and frame rate. Okay, our four sonographer control settings are going to be imaging depth, okay, line density, sector width, and multifocus. Okay, those are four, and they all are affected the same way when it comes to temporal resolution and frame rates. Okay, again, like Sophia said, with sector width, that doesn't change the quality of our image. Once we change our sector size, it's not making my image look better. I'm only able to acquire the image in a faster time. When we change our multifocus, that's actually improving our lateral resolution. If we added the number of focuses to that image, I'm going to have better lateral resolution, okay? Because it's making our beam thinner over longer distance, okay? Over different depths. Okay? And spatial resolution, when it comes to line density, detail resolution, that's what we're improving, okay? Because now we're getting more scan lines, so we're getting all the pieces of information that we may not have gotten if we had a lower line density. Okay, so it's really important to know where these buttons are on the machine, you know, and know how to adjust them. You know, say for instance, if I can't, like for instance, you guys have seen fibroids, right? Everybody here seen fibroids?
Mm-hmm.
Fibroids. So sometimes you know that with fibroids, you can't see the difference. Like sometimes you know it's something in there, but I can't make it out. I can't tell the different margins. I can't see, you know, the halo around that fibroid. I can just see you kind of see, I always call it sun rays, because you can see those rays coming out of the uterus, but you can't tell, man, what is that? I know it's a mass, but I can't see what it looks like, how big it is. So, you know, use these techniques that we're doing. Change your detail resolution, you know, increase your line density, okay? Change your focus if you have that opportunity, okay? If you not if you're using IU-22, but you can also adjust your focal range, your focal zone, right? You can change that and make that be thinner over the whole image, okay? So do those things when you're out in the clinic. That's what I want to use this class for, to teach you guys all the buttons, because you'll see some techs, they know how to scan, but they don't know how to optimize those images, right? So I really want to teach you guys how to use every single button on the machine, because every single button has purpose, and most of them are to optimize your images, okay? So definitely that's what this class is for. This chapter right here, chapter 13, you know, I really feel like we all got a good grasp on it. I really feel like we're doing really well on that. I'm expecting good grades again. And guys, if you have any questions for me, you know, let me know. Homework is due on Friday. Have that ready to go. The test, I don't know how many questions yet, but man, it's hard for me to make a lot of questions on this information without repeat myself so much. So, you know, it may be 30 questions, 40 questions. I think because I have a big test bank, but that doesn't mean I'm going to use all of those questions. So maybe 30 to 40 questions. So definitely understand information, because it may not be as big as opportunity. That you miss one, you know, you might be at a 94. You know what I mean? So, you know, not that you have to be perfect, but it's just not a lot of information for me to ask so many questions about without repeating myself. Okay? So without further ado, any questions on either class, whether it be superficial structures or physics? Yes, ma'am.
On the back of the book, there's a question that asks for if the number of lines per frame and the frame rate determine the PRF.
If the number you're changing the PRF when you when you change the number of pulses as well.
So the number of lines that differ, does that mean like the density?
The scan lines? I'm thinking that just means the number of lines it takes to create an image. Read the question exactly how it's written.
The number of lines per frame and the frame rate determine the pulse repetition frequency.
And that's true, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that?
Because when you're changing, so remember how ultrasound works. I'm not gonna send out another scan line until I get reflections from the previous one. So if I'm sending out more scan lines, like if I have a higher line density, I'm sending out more scan lines, then my PRF is gonna be not as frequent, because I'm sorry, it's gonna be more frequent now because I'm sending more scan lines out to create this image now, but my temporal resolution is not gonna be as good. Okay, so that's why because remember,
because you're working more.
Yeah, PRF exactly. So remember, PRF and duty factor, they're directly related. So if I'm sending out more pulses, then I'm making the machine work harder. Basically increasing that PRF, because now I'm sending out pulses more frequently.
I guess I was just confused what the lines per frame means. That the density?
Lines per frame. Yeah, I guess it really just means the number of pulses per image. That's all that's saying. The number of pulses. I wouldn't say. I mean, I guess that means line density as well. I mean, honestly, yeah, I would mean the same thing. Line density or number of pulses per frame. But I don't like that, because line density can be changed. Like the number of pulses per, I would say more closely to the number of pulses per frame than line density, because line density, I just want to keep that separate as a sonographer control set. I think they're talking about just overall how many pulses per image. But that is true. You are changing the PRF and like I said on the GE, you can even see like when you're changing the different things that affect temporal resolution, it changes the PRF, because the PRF setting is actually on the machine. It's not on IE22, but if I need to show you guys, I need to open that laptop up. Those laptops actually are GE Logics, and they show you the PRF when you're changing the PRF, when you're changing the depth, when you're changing the sonographer control settings, then you're changing you're adjusting the PRF as well, and you can see it on there.
The PRF and the PRP.
Absolutely, of course, when you change the PRP, because you're changing the listening time. Good question. Good question. But definitely, you are changing the PRF. Any other questions?
When she said about the density per image, she said, or
I'm asking a question, but it's 11:40, guys. If you want to go to lunch, you can. Go ahead. End up using high temporal resolution and low. Why would I want better temporal resolution versus having a good picture? Okay. And I'm also going to summarize this whole chapter for us, give us a quick little summary on what you guys all talked about earlier. Give your credit to Myra and Presidente and Fernandez.
Presidente.
Go, Myra.
Put my thoughts together. Okay, so first, what you have to ask yourself, you have to know if you want a good movie or you want a good picture. So if you want a good picture, you will want to get a good focus. So that requires multi-focus, because that's gonna give you a better ladder resolution and allow you to have a more accurate image. For example, the gallbladder, you want to have multi-focus if there was to see any like a stone or something in there. And you don't really need good temporal because you're not worried about the time. So in the opposite side of that, it's if you're trying to take a fetal heart in mode, you don't really care about the quality of the picture. What you will want is you care more about the temporal, which is the time of how fast the heart rate is. And you would just want one focus so you can have a better temporal resolution.
So going into what Myra was saying more detail, so we're as sonographers, we're medical photographers or medical cameramans behind the transducer. So with this, to make it easier understanding, this is a picture. So as a photographer, I see as like the lines are spaces where the photographer can stand, take a moment, take a picture, stand a moment, take a picture. So they can see all the details in between those lines. So that's which gives you the good picture and lets you go to deeper imaging. So that's why you have a wider sector, higher line densities, which is in the small gaps. And then so you can see all the details of the gallbladder. So it's for whenever you want detailed images, so you can see, like Myra said, like stones and stuff like that. So you wouldn't have to care about the time, so you can take all those detailed images. Now for the movie, so you would be moving more. It would be more of a constant motion where you can get all the details. So it's like a movie, so you'll have higher frame rates because the time is consistent with the imaging moving. It's not gonna be choppy. So that's why you can see the heart moving when you take the M mode. So that's why you would have the temporal resolution would be better whenever you want to do organs that have motion and stuff like that.
Okay, so if we want to make a summary of everything, the temporal resolution is based on the time, so which determined by the frame rate. And all other things like the depth, number of pulses, and vector size, those are all inversely related to the frame rate and temporal resolution. Then based on these two images, if we want to have a good spatial resolution or lateral resolution, then we have to have the deeper imaging and then multi-focus. We have to have the wide sector and then the high line density. But if we want to have a temporal resolution, which is the emotion, so we have to have inverse, which is the shallowing image, and then single focus, and we have to have the low line density and narrow sector. So basically, the only thing that is directly related is time frame and temporal resolution.
No questions?
Time frame
yes.
and temporal resolution are directly related. Even time frame is the T frame.
No, T-frame is different. T-frame is only when you take an image, only one image.
No, I'm
But-
saying T stands for time. Right?
Okay.
Am I mistaken?
Time frame is the time it takes to
Take
take
one
one
image.
image.
And then is inversely related to the time frame. I mean to frame rate.
Frame rate, that one.
I was just about to correct you.
Right?
For the M-mode, you put the heart beside the high frame rate. I think we don't have to have shallow imaging to have a good M-mode.
So it's
What's your question?
in general. So when you want a good temporal resolution, it should be more shallow.
But they don't have shallow.
I don't
imaging
have
on
shallow.
that. They don't have
I
shallow.
didn't put that.
She,
I put
she
deeper.
said it, but
She put it on the deeper on the top one because they're making a single image. In M mode, the shallow to deep doesn't matter. Because
Yeah,
what's
that's-
happening with M mode is like they drew it perfectly. You see that single line? That's a single scan line going down the entire length of the heart. That's why it looks like that blurry, that kind of image it makes, because just remember the bottom part is M mode. All we're doing is taking one slice or one scan line to make this image. So that's why you want to have the best temporal resolution and measure their heart rate with the best time. So the depth doesn't matter because it's going to travel the depth of whatever you set it to. It's going to travel to the depth of what you set it. But it's only going to, instead of it making all these scan lines, it's only making one line straight down. Whatever you roll it to, that's where it's taking that scan line.
yeah.
I don't have a question, but I just really interesting the way that N represent the good picture about the multifocus. Like each dot is represented by one cameraman. So for the movie, I can relate that one dot single focus for director. So director just one director to do the whole movie, but you need many cameramen to take different angle of one picture. So it's just a little related.
No, I thought you guys did a good job too. Good job, man. Good job, ladies.